أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Peace and welcome back to Universal Unity. It's been quite a while, I think something like 5 years since I made a last video, for which I apologize. God forgive me. And a special thanks and God bless to all the people who would still send me emails asking to make more videos. My excuse was that I was busy. However, as I'm making this video, I'm busier than I have been in the past 5 years. So it's okay. We're back at it again, God willing. And today's topic is going to be God's Shahada. And that's right, you heard me correctly, God's Shahada. He has one, and we're going to talk about it. And I've broken this down to about 5 parts. So the first one, we're just going to talk about Shahada. What does it mean? What does the word Shahada mean? 2, we're going to talk a little bit about God's Shahada, God willing. He has one. Surprise, surprise. Number 3, we're going to talk a little bit about this whole bearing witness that the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God. Right? We're going to talk a little bit about that. It is mentioned in the Quran. We're going to examine, God willing, the part where it's mentioned in the Quran. And for part number 4, we're going to talk about why it is an incorrect utterance to say Ashhadu an Muhammadur Rasulullah. Why it's an incorrect utterance to say I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. And then 5, we're going to examine why bearing witness that there is no God except God is not a lie. Why it's okay to say this, but it's not okay, according to the Quran, to say that the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God, or at least to bear witness. You can say that he's a messenger of God, or he was a messenger of God, his soul is now in heaven, but this to bear witness, this is an incorrect utterance. So part number 1, Shahada, what does it mean? And Shahada literally just means to bear witness. So for example, if you were a witness to a crime, right? And let's just say the crime is, I don't know, murder. And you say, hey, I bore witness to this crime. It means that you were there and you saw it happen. So you had to be physically there or present for it. That's what Shahada means. So, part 2, God's Shahada. And you may be a little perplexed by this statement, because normally the Shahada is something that we as humans have, right? However, yes, God does actually have a Shahada. And this is documented in the Quran, okay? So let's actually take a look at the verse. Chapter 3, verse 18. God bears witness that there is no God except He, and so do the angels, and those who possess knowledge. Truthfully and equitably, He is the absolute God. There is no God but He, the Almighty, Most Wise. So if you actually look at this verse, the actual word Shahada is used here. Forgive my Arabic pronunciation, I'm reading off the transliteration, but you can see clearly that the actual Arabic word Shahada is used. Shahida Allahu annahu la ilaha illahu. So we can see very clearly that the word Shahada is used here. Shahida Allahu, God bears witness. And the verse continues saying that the angels also have the same Shahada, right? The angels also bear witness that there is no God except God. And those who possess knowledge also bear witness that there is no God except God. So let's stop and ask ourselves, right? Because as students of the Quran, as people who are always seeking the truth and to increase our knowledge, we have to occasionally stop, look at the evidences, and reflect on it, critically analyze it, ask questions. So the question here is, do I want to be like those who possess knowledge? If those who possess knowledge, if they bear witness that there is no God except He, and this is the Shahada, do I want to be like them? And if you do want to be like those who possess knowledge, then you will adopt the Shahada that God has decreed and that He Himself has. So a common point of, confusion, if you will, right, is when we tell people, hey, the Shahada is actually La Ilaha Ellah Allah, not La Ilaha Ellah Allah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. The natural question is, then where does this come from? Why do we say it? And since so many people say it, it's got to be in the Quran. If La Ilaha Illallah is in the Quran, then Muhammadur Rasulullah must also be in the Quran. And you're right, you can find the utterance where people bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God in the Quran. However, it's mentioned in one verse in the Quran, and it's not very flattering. And we actually find this in chapter 63 of the Quran. And the title of this chapter is Al-Munafiqun, which is the hypocrites. Chapter 63, verse 1. When the hypocrites come to you, they say, "We bear witness that you are the messenger of God." God knows that you are his messenger, and God bears witness that the hypocrites are liars. So this is pretty interesting, right? When the hypocrites come and bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God, what is God's response to them? I know he's my messenger. It's as if they're saying redundant information, obvious information. Furthermore, he goes on to call these people who have made this Shahada liars. And again, I want you to know that the Arabic word Shahada is used here, just like in chapter 3, verse 18, where we learn about God's Shahada and the Shahada of the angels and of those who possess knowledge. So this is the only place in the Quran where any human being bears witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. This is the only time we'll find that whole Ashhadu an Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's the only time we'll find that. Okay, why is it an incorrect utterance to bear witness that Muhammad is a messenger of God, right? And why does God call people who make this statement liars? Why is it a lie to say, I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God? And to get this answer, we have to again think back, what does Shahada mean? And it literally means to bear witness. And when you bear witness that Muhammad is a messenger of God, you are saying that you were there when he received his messengership. No one was there when the Prophet Muhammad received his messengership. His soul went up to the highest heaven, and God placed the Quran in his heart. So you and I, or anyone for that matter, were not present to witness this. We were not there when God put the Quran in his heart and he officially became a messenger of God. Thus, to make this Shahada is a lie, which is why God calls such people who make the Shahada liars. So when this is explained to people, naturally the next response is, okay, if we were not there to witness the Prophet Muhammad receive his messengership, why can we bear witness that there is no God except God? Because none of us have seen God. And this is a fantastic question. And yes, we have seen God, we have stood in front of him. However, we just don't remember this because before we came down, before God sent our souls here, he wiped our memories clean. And I have evidence of this in the Quran. Chapter 7, verse 172. Recall that your Lord summoned all the descendants of Adam and had them bear witness for themselves. Am I not your Lord? They all said, yes, we bear witness. Thus, you cannot say on the day of resurrection, we were not aware of this. So, God willing, we can all agree that you and I and every other human being are all descendants of Adam. Thus, when God says, recall that your Lord summoned all the descendants of Adam, this verse applies to us also. And God is informing us here that he summoned us before him, all the children of Adam, and had us bear witness for ourselves that there is no God except he. This is why it is not a lie for us to utter that, for us to make the Shahada that La Ilaha Illah Allah, there is no God except God. And again, the Arabic word Shahada here is used. Just like in chapter 3, verse 18, where we learn about God's Shahada. Just like in chapter 63, verse 1, where the hypocrites who add Muhammad's name to the Shahada are called liars. Okay, let's wrap this all up and get to the conclusion. So Shahada means to bear witness, which means you are claiming that you were there, and we were not there to bear witness Muhammad receiving his messengership from God. Thus, it is a lie to claim this. However, before we were sent down here, God had us stand in front of him and bear witness that there is no God except he. Thus, it is not a lie to say there is no God, I bear witness that there is no God except God, is a correct utterance. And remember, saying I bear witness that there is no God except God, and then saying I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God is different than saying I believe Muhammad is a messenger of God. There's nothing wrong with saying I believe Muhammad is a messenger of God. However, the Shahada is very specific and laid out for us in the Quran. And I'd like to take a moment here and just to ask you all to stop and reflect. If La Ilaha Illah Allah, there is no God except God, is good enough for God, and it is good enough for the angels, and it is good enough for those who possess knowledge, then we have to ask ourselves, is this good enough for me? And if we say no, or we find it's not good enough for us, we have to ask and reflect, why is it not good enough? Why am I not okay with God alone, with saying La Ilaha Ellah Allah on its own? And the answer to this question is also found in the Quran, in chapter 39, verse 45. When God alone is mentioned, the hearts of those who do not believe in the hereafter shrink with aversion. But when others are mentioned beside him, they become satisfied. And if you notice, with all the human beings, most people will add an additional name next to God. So for example, with the Christians, it's yes, we believe in God, but Jesus was right beside him. They can't have God without Jesus. And with Muslims, the Sunnis, it's yes, we believe in God, but Muhammad has to be there. We cannot have God without Muhammad. And with the Shias, of course, it's the family of the Prophet Muhammad, Ali, Hussein, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. There is always a human factor that gets associated with God. And most people are not satisfied unless they associate a human factor with God. So take all this information in, look up the verses yourself, and reflect, and just ponder upon it for a little while. That's it for now. Peace be upon you and God bless. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, leave a comment asking questions, whether you agree, disagree, or if you have additional points to share, or if you have requests for future topics. And you can also email me directly, God willing. Peace.
Come to the true Lord, come to his mercy, come to submission, come sing his praises.